Hi, my YouTube family. Welcome to another episode of Many Moods of Maverick. This evening, I'd like to speak with you guys pertaining to the Law and Order Organized Crime series starring Christopher Meloni and other members of the cast. And recently, it was announced that it was moved from the NBC network over to Peacock. And over there, it supposedly has about 80% viewership. Now, when this show started off, it started off, based on what I'm seeing here on Google, with 7.83 million viewership. All right, that was the amount of people that was actually watching it. And then season 2 dropped to 5.51 million, and then season 3 dropped a little bit to 5.49 million. Now, my thing about it is, and I was in high expectation when I initially heard that Christopher Meloni was going to return back as Elliot Stabler in his role in Law and Order, and he would have had his own series. I was in high expectation of it, and for me, for the most part, the series has been pretty good, but I think I know what actually caused it to have a limited, lower viewership as the seasons progress, and that had possibly to do with the extended time that the villains were there playing their role. Like, for example, Dylan McDermott's Richard Wheatley. His villainous activity stretched on to season 2. And I think what happened is that the viewers kind of got fatigued. He was really good as Richard Wheatley. But to stretch him on into season 2 kind of made viewers kind of wonder, okay, what's going on right here, or what's next? Who's going to top his performance, or who is going to be the next villain? People want a mixture of stuff, and that wasn't forthcoming going into season 2. I mean, they had other minor villains, but the primary target, the primary villain of season 1, and I'd say season 2, was Diane McDermott's Richard Wheatley character. And that should not have been so. As a matter of fact, I think his character's arc should have come to an end in season 1 instead of extending it over to season 2. And I think that's where people suffered some level of fatigue, and they were like, okay, this is getting a little bit boring. Okay, and then on top of that, I mean, you have to look at Elliot Stabler's character too. Why is he a detective so long, going on into season 4? Or is it season 5? No, season 4. Why is he still a detective? Why hasn't he been promoted? He's a seasoned vet, I admit. Christopher Meloni had actually taken a hiatus from 2012, when he exited the franchise for his own reasons. I mean, whatever they say online, fine, but he knew why he left. I'm guessing NBC knew why he left that role, and then eventually he returned a few years ago. And I welcome him back to the character, and he's very edgy, and I like that. The thing about it is, I believe he should be promoted by now. I mean, he's not a lieutenant, he's not a sergeant, I mean, there was a particular time when I think Ayanna Bell's character was going to be moving on to politics, and I suspected right there and then they were about to introduce Elliot Stabler's character to becoming, getting a promotion. But that never took place either. So those are stuff that the writers, I think, need to look at, because for some reason or the other, I don't think the writers are as sharp as gaining the attention of the viewers are concerned. Okay, on top of that, when you take a look at Jed Slootmarker's character, why is it that nobody, or they never explain how she actually wound up becoming a police officer? She was inducted into the team as an IT specialist, as far as I can tell, and then all of a sudden she's swinging guns and she's carrying a badge. Why not show when she actually went to detective school? Why not show when she graduated, what she learned, what she went through? They could have told that story right there and then and properly, introduce her into the team, but they never did that. They just threw her in, and then, along with this different hairstyle and the whole lot of makeup stuff that's going on, I'm like, that's totally unnecessary. What I think they're trying to do is kind of do with her character like what NCIS did with Abby Shooter's character, if that was her name, Abby's character, when she had this gothic persona, she had all of these things that projected her, as having, gothic characteristics, for want of a better term. And I'm looking at it to say, okay, so why they keep changing her up? She has these weird eyeliners. That's Jed Slootmarker's character, has these weird eyeliners, hairstyle changes here and there, and I'm kind of like, and then they have her switching from like one boyfriend in previous seasons to, you know, fling with Rick Gonzalez's character. And I'm like, okay, so what's going on right here? So I think they really needed to spend some time developing her character, telling her background, explaining what's going on with her. And then on top of that, to this relationship of sorts that she has with Rick Gonzalez's character. He in the show is, I think, Bobby something another. And I'm looking at it to say, okay, they kind of have them behaving like teenagers. You know, they're supposed to be detectives, sharp, mature, ready to take on whatever, you know. But then because they're trying to bring forth this relationship thing with them, they're kind of losing, I believe the writers have lost their way somewhat in terms of how they projected those two. I think they either need to relax that relationship thing with them if they're going to be doing it, do it sometime later on down in future episodes or, you know, future seasons, but just not right now. You know, just let them focus on what they're supposed to be dealing with, which is organized crime. No, you see, what happened is that I think across the board at Law and Order and other police procedurals on TV, they're trying to, I believe, copy what they've seen primarily in NCIS. First, Jet Sloop Markers, they were trying to kind of copy what they saw Abby did in NCIS, and then the relationship thing. I noticed various police procedurals are trying to, you know, make sure that team members have some form of intimate relationship going on. So they did that with Rick Gonzalez and Jet Sloop Marcus' character. And I'm like, you know, I think it was a little bit either too early or it just wasn't well done. Right? And why is it? Dennis, why is it? You don't know what happened to Richard Wheatley's character. You know, after they landed in the water, I think he and his wife, they recovered his wife's body, but not him. And then he just exited right there. I mean, that's unsatisfactory to the viewers. So naturally, people are going to be asking more questions, you know, than getting answers. And they're like, okay, so what's going on right here? Dennis Leary's character. You never saw what happened to him until I think it was a follow-up season or a follow-up episode that, you know, they told what happened to him without actually showing definitely how things work out with him in just one full episode. You understand? And then the same thing with Eamon Murphy's character. You know, he was very good. He has this look on his face that it just imposes fear on those, you know, within the movie for the role that he is playing. And I'm like, he makes for a really good villain. You might have remembered him in this series that just finished up the other day. Well, they only made season 1 for The Company You Keep. You may have remembered him in that series. And he was pretty good in that too. So I'm like, you know, they need to focus. I think they're losing the writers. I think the writers are having an issue to properly tell the story as it regards the various characters within those shows. And then once they sharpen that up, once they really level it out, you know, I think viewers would be more, what would I say, you know, attracted to the characters so that they can actually accept them for who they are and just continue watching the series. Remember, Elliot Stabler's character in Law and Order from the inception coming straight up was just edgy. You know, I wouldn't say trigger happy, but he's not the kind to let a villain get away, especially those who abuse children. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like they've presented a little bit more of a soft core Elliot Stabler as the seasons progresses in this Law and Order organized crime. So I really think that the writers need to settle down. I think they need to just figure out what they're going to be doing with the character. If it allows for them to get a little bit more harsh, you know, violent, hostile, by the mere fact that the show is now on Peacock. It's no longer on, well, it's not on NBC, but I guess an NBC affiliate called the Peacock Network. I'm guessing that provides them a little bit more leverage or leeway to make the show a little bit more violent, you know, a little more, I'm going to get you, and, you know, you actually get the villain, you know, and then the need to tell us that, I mean, I think Stabler, it's full time for him to be promoted. He's been a detective for too long in this particular series. All right, because remember, Olivia Benson in SVU is now a captain. All right, and she and Elliot Stabler, up until when he left the show, they were just detectives. right? She's now a captain. So why after 3 or 4 seasons is Elliot Stabler's character still a detective? I really think they need to look at that. I really think something needs to be done, and they need to work on that, and they need to the character arcs, the stories pertaining to the characters need to be told properly. And then I believe, the viewership will increase from there. Remember, to leave from 7.8 million viewers from the beginning down to where it is right now. I mean, it's a gradual decrease, meaning that the viewers were not satisfied with what they were seeing so far, and they need to see more. Tell the stories better, sorry, speak about the characters better. Let us know, how did Jet Sloopmaker's Sloopmaker's character went from being just an IT tech or an IT specialist within the group to being a detective. Show when she went to detective school and so on, just show that. And the need to make sure that she acts, her character, that is, seems more mature in the role. Not like, a teenager fighting for attention. Same thing with, Rick Gonzalez's character when it comes to those two. I mean, separate and apart, Rick Gonzalez's character is okay until when he started to intermingle with Jet Sloopmaker's character, and then, they kind of have this illicit, or they had this affair going on, and then ultimately they stopped. All right, it wasn't working. I know, all police procedurals are trying this relationship thing, especially after watching Tony and Ziva in NCIS, and that was those guys really put on a show. And, I'll talk about NCIS another time, but I'm just saying, they can do more as far as law and order organized crime is concerned, in order for the viewers to increase and for this to be a long-running series and highly successful at that. So, congratulations to the team. Again, I'll say welcome back, Detective Stabler, whatever is going on. And then I also noticed some level of wokeness taking place in the Law and Order franchises. I don't know really, but this seems to be a thing with television shows these days, that some element of the LGBTQ is going to have to turn up in these shows. I mean, if that's going to be their primary focus, which I won't say it's their primary focus, but it lands somewhere at number 2. They need to tone that down a bit and just focus on the police procedural. I mean, fine, if the characters, if the criminals that they're trying to catch has some affiliation with the LGBTQ, in the movie, that I can understand. But then when you're projecting it as being okay with the main stars of the show, yeah, that can also dampen the amount of viewership that they get. So I'm looking forward to improvements. I'm looking forward to it being a long-running procedural. I'm looking for it to be highly successful. Now that it is on Peacock, hopefully they can do something more with the show. Well, whereas it was on NBC, there are probably certain level of violence that they, avoided. But no, they can probably put it in the show now that it's on the Peacock network. That's what I am thinking. So they have more ways of doing things. They can improve the show dramatically, I believe, just by focusing on the characters and improving the way they project themselves in the series. So I'm looking forward to it. It's, welcome back. Again, Elliot Stabler, and I'm looking forward to your development as well as the development of other characters. So, YouTube family, that's my take. If you like my comments, if you like what I'm saying, I'm going to ask that you subscribe. You can go ahead and share the video with friends and family, those those who you don't know if possible, but just subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And until the next one, I'll catch you again. All right, have a good day, guys.